Round 21 saw a 42 rank non-improvement, sadly, after going up each and every week. Just a slow one here, 12.79, and really it was just off the back of not trading Jerome Hughes for Cleary. That was I wasn't doing that, but that was the difference there, 30 odd compared to the 120 or whatever he ended up with, and fair few captaining him as well. So yeah, managed to do fairly well in other areas with Campbell and these types of guys, but putting me down to 7 trades. But I did bring in Isaiah Yeo as a good trade in. It was needed to fix up a couple of positions and had a few out there, so managed to get him in for his 83, and then I have traded Hughes straight to Cleary now, which was which is decent on that one there. A couple of different little things to muck around with. Thankfully got really strong centre wing with Farnworth back, which is good. And fullback position is going solid enough. I did captain Edwards in this one. Ramian could stay in the team, but looks like Munster will take that role now. And then the one decision for myself is going to be Talis Duncan probably comes out. I think with Tino at the 5.17, it's a bit of an awkward sort of price point there, with not a lot of great guys with the now $9,000 I've got in the bank to be able to move on from. And an easy move there is Duncan to one of those top scorers, and I can actually get a Hudson Young now. No, he went down almost 31k. My secondary option I think is going to be Britton Nickera at 5.99. So really it's just going to be the question of, do I spend the 6.86 and go all out on Huddy? He has a buy, and also Britton's going to have the buy as well in I think the week after each other basically, and head-to-head matchups is going to be the important one here. So my little theory, given my squad, so he's in 25 and Hudson Young is in 24, my general theory was that if we look at my leagues, unfortunately I've lost back-to-back in my important head-to-head league, and I only lost by 11 in the end. I was up and clear in second, thankfully was able to get sort of the 5 or 6 wins in a row to get me clear at second, but you can see here I clearly wanted to make the top 4, and I have the worst points differential, so a win this week is pretty important. Let's just say we're able to stick in second. Let's see, we've got one more week to be safe in this one. So if we get the win, we stay in that spot, which is good. Actually, I haven't looked at who I'm playing yet either, but Lloyd gets that win over me by 11 and puts himself in a position where he could sneak into the top 4 if one of the guys ahead of him in 4th, 3rd, or 2nd, like myself, do happen to lose. So I think the good thing now is that I'll be getting Cleary in, and then I'll get one of those really good scorers in second row forward, which will be nice. And the 17 this week will be red hot, or the 18 even. So that'll be cool. But if I do happen to get into that top 4, then get the win in the first round at round 23, I can have the rest in round 24, and that would be when Hudson Young has that bye. So that's something that I'm conscious of as a pretty interesting one. Britton Nickera allows a little bit extra cash, and both those trades gets me down to 5. So still allows some movement over the next few weeks. And if I've got 110 or 100k in the bank, just gives me a bit of space to be able to make an upgrade, or just if things go awry in the later rounds, I've got that little bit extra to make some moves with. So that's generally where I'm thinking on my side, and we'll go through just a quick buy, hold, sell for you guys. But the majority of players we want, thankfully, have made their way into my team over the last few weeks. We've got some big moves actually in the private group, and David has ended up pushing up and beat Scoopy Boy by a couple hundred points almost there. 1446, moved from 148 into 55th. So we've got 2 guys in the top 100 now. It's very, very impressive. I'm sitting there at 11th in that crew myself. And then the Podmasters, we're seeing a couple of good scores up there as well, with Matthew in at 27th with his 1359, and Luke moved up into 28th as well. So the 3 guys in the top 100 in there. And sitting at 27th out of the 104. So not too bad. Just lost the 1 rank change in that one there. So as I said, they're the sort of the 2 guys you'd want in that second row forward position. Angus Crichton unfortunately hasn't performed like we would have hoped, and also had Eli Katoa's 36 in there. So that first game with the Roosters, having Watson, having Crichton, having Katoa, having Hughes in that first game wasn't all that crash hot. Garrick's 38. So you can see there we had to take a few of the sort of high 30 scores. You had Adam Dewey's 45. Ramian was solid with 59, but in amongst there, the good trading of Lomax's 99. Thankfully, only got outdone by Cleary by the 19, which was sweet there. But looking at the rest of second row forward, in terms of guys that I do not have currently, out of those three, I don't know if any of them are clear buys right now. We know that Crichton and Yeo are of a decent price to get something out of, but I personally would go Nickera now before those guys. Phil Kickout had a 92 on the weekend, and the Dogs looked a lot better. Both him and Preston have the Tigers this week, so that's a fun little matchup. Olukwatu's injured. Both for more, not really someone you'd want to go for. Right now, I just think that he's going to be a little bit more base heavy in that team that's really, really, I was going to say really struggling, but he's just sort of fallen off a little bit the last few. You can see there a 61 average in the last 3, 67 with a couple of tries there. But it's a nice price as well. Again, I would go for Nickera. I think there's a little bit more upside right now. And averaging 60 for the year, but coming off that low score is going to hurt that number definitely. That's about it in second row forward. No one of real note. You got Jermaine McEwen that played on the weekend. You got Charlie Geimer and Leka Halasimo in that sort of mid-range. Charlie that little bit cheaper there, doing his thing. In the hooking slot, it's still Brayley, 59 for him, but Harry Grant at 570. If there's anyone that you could take a bit of a punt on, he was the option as well for me last week. I was talking about him or Isaiah Yeo, and both thankfully ended up working pretty solidly. Just a 30-point difference there would have helped in the rankings, but for both of them to do well at least was nice. It wasn't like a 55 versus a 113, and he's going to be very, very important for the rest of the season for the Storm boys with Jerome out. Obviously, Wishy's an important one to have a look at as a cheapie as well, but not in this hooking slot there. Blake Brayley, 738k, went up another 36, so he's very, very expensive compared to Harry. And at this point, with Blake's buy to come, I think Harry will be the play and the correct play at hooker, and is a really, really nice price. For our front row forward, let's just say you are getting rid of Tino if we happen to have an issue with Payne Haas. That would actually hurt me, wouldn't it? That would. Yeah, then I'd have to bring in a front row forward. Ooh, that'd be tough. Okay, let's just hope Payne Haas is available then, hey? All right, so it's them two up top, clearly. And then, as we said last week, there's not much going on. Lindsay Smith with a nice try last week. Adam Fanor-Blake's 500k, which is crazy. So you're probably just taking a flyer on someone like him, to be fair. That crazy low price. Joe Tarpany's just been falling off a cliff recently. 61 average, and I think one of those games included a try, so Paddy Carrigan's there at 576. He could help out a little bit, but there's really not too much in that front row forward slot. And I think personally, if Haas was to be out, I'd have to trade him or Tino. I think Tino would just have to go to Adam Fanor-Blake. To be honest with you, there is not too much in that spot. Moving to halfback, it's just going to be Cleary and Hines, likely, is the big one there. You can see there the top two averages, and good recent 5-round average for those two in the 80s. Jamal Fogarty, really nice game on the weekend. Tom Dearden averaging 100 of his last 3. And the thing is with them, that their draw is actually not too bad. And it's hard to buy him off at 165. But you know that he's going to have a really nice end of the season as well. He continues to show improvement every week. Walk out a decent one on the weekend. But do you just go for like an Isaiah Katoa instead, who should play the rest of the year and has some clear upside? They're averaging 70 now and 84 over his last 3. So he's an interesting one to look at. DCE's at a cheap price. Nice 40-20 on the weekend, but it's just sort of middling at the moment. And then down below, there's not too much else other than that. Wishy is someone to think about. I don't know if he's actually in the... there you go, he's 5'8". And halfback at 316, if you need a sort of a cash down in this position, he would be the play now. Or Tanner Boyd still at a reasonable price. But I imagine most people aren't looking to cash down, and they're just going to get one of the guns in these positions, which will be the correct play in my opinion there. For 5'8" there, you saw Jaden Campbell have a really good 115 at 541k. He's clearly the upside guy at the price, along with Dearden there. And that Munster still, he's going to be more important with Hughes being out. I don't know if it increases his attack too much. and they should spread it around a little bit, you'd say. But for the most part, he's a guy that you're going to want to own, I think, now that Hughes is gone. Tanner Boyd's still at a reasonable price. You got guys like K Weeks at 700k, and then Matt Burton came into a bit of form last week, and they play the Tigers. So before this, he hadn't been averaging too well, sort of in that 50s mark for a bit, and just middling. And yeah, it's still Campbell for sure, and then guys like Burton for potential upside if the doggies can continue playing as they are. Now for the centre wing position, it's a clear top three: Farnworth, Lomax, and Kiraz there. Garrick is going to be a little bit up and down. He's going to have to score tries to continue his work, but you can see they're the top three. The rest of the guys in that top section are out until you get down to Garrick. Next guys are out: Taufa, Graham Taufa, Tuipulotu, Best. You got Taylor May in there, 49 for him. You got Nwangi Tawaze, who definitely could get some upside with, but it's a bit of a tough one. Dane Gagai's kind of the next best, I'd say, but is on bye this week. So yeah, just make sure you're looking to get those top three and all of the big dogs at as many of them as you can. Campbell's going to be a fun one. Cleary, second row forward's a bit of a dud position outside of sort of Nicker and Young, and hookers. There's a couple there with Grant, but these are your guys here: Farnworth, Lomax, Kiraz, and then a few of these fullbacks that are going to be able to change the game for you and help you win your head-to-head matchups and everything in between. So they're the guys this week. Matt Timoko, 134. So those types of players in that top team. You saw Seb Chris a couple of weeks ago, and then Timoko in this one that came out and did an awesome job for you. Now let's go to fullbacks there to finish it off. Saw Turbo score okay on the weekend. You've got kind of Tracy with a big one as well, but yeah, Edwards, Drinkwater, Teddy. We've got Pat back this week. Don't know if you could buy him straight off that. Reece Walsh, an okay score. Turbo the same, but again, it's those three up top that are going to have the best opportunity to score really well. And you've got Edwards up against the Titans there. So a super fun matchup. So yeah, not too much to go with, guys. Obviously, a fair few of you are low on trades, and it's just making those gun replacements and just making sure you have as many of these top tier guys as you can, where there's less at the moment with a lot of injuries, but yeah, still sort of 7 or 8, 9 that you kind of need, I think, to make sure that your opponents don't get a leg up over you. So there you go, guys. That's the Supercoach update for the week. Let me know your thoughts on that one and yeah, which one I should go for in Nickera or in Hudson Young. And let me know how you went below and what trades you're thinking of making this week. See you guys.